Everybody, welcome to the SOS Small Business Success Podcast. We're all about building Thrive. So I heard some great news from one of my accounts this week that they had their best business. And let me tell you, it was not an easy 2020 for her at all. And so we discussed, I'll be sharing that with you as we kind of progress through other podcasts as we get going. But I was just really excited to hear that because I know that the time that I spend with her, we focus in on mindset opportunities, sales opportunities, education opportunities, marketing opportunities, all of those to balance the time and the energy and the resources, energy resources. When you can balance all of those out as an owner of your business, then you can start to see some progress. You start to see some consistent progress. And I am mainly a salon coach, speaker, author, and podcaster, of course. And I appreciate you guys being here because we're really trying very hard to be able to create some clear, concise. And so this podcast drops every Wednesday. And it's always focusing on what we call the SOM strategy. Okay, so sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education. And today we're going to be in the sales category. And our title is Speak into the Wind. All right, speak into the wind. And what exactly? And looking at it from this perspective here. So you can speak into the wind with caution. Okay, because if something's in the wind, people are talking about it. So the more they start to see it, the more they start to hear it. You know how that works. It's like you can project your voice out and the wind can carry it far. Towards it. They've heard it once, maybe they've heard it twice, maybe they've heard it 9 times now. There's a consistent message that's going on that is having them take notice of it. Now, no one's possibly sure what's going on sometimes when you're speaking into the wind, according to this legend here. It could be a rumor. Okay, so you don't know what's actually happening, but repetition and consistency will prove worthy for you. When this particular episode today is also part of my blog so you got this in writing as well. You have it in a podcast, you will have it in a video on YouTube, and you also have it in writing as my blog. And so I'm excited to share all of this with you. Now, sometimes speaking into the wind without caution, you might feel the wet of your whistle coming back at you. So sometimes there is an opportunity to be able to project out and have the wind carry your voice to be able to help you. And we call these tools, sales tools for you to be more successful. And sometimes you might just be like blabbing on and not being consistent or clear or concise with your message. And in fact, what's happening is you're just kind of spitting on yourself, all right? Nobody wants your little spittles going on right now with COVID still being incredibly active here. So passive or inconsistent connection is not good faith, okay? People want to be able to build trust with you. And when you're consistent and clear on your message, that's how you build trust. So you just have to be continually doing it. And when I'm working with my clients for brand audits or helping them to redesign their website, working with them on marketing strategies, you know, the hardest part, and even for me as an entrepreneur, the hardest part is being consistent. Now, my brand kind of architect is an explorer. So I love exploring new things. I love creating new things. I'm definitely a content creator. And sometimes what happens is that I get off of my path. Okay. I don't stay in my lane. I get off of my path because I get excited about something else that I'm seeing as a trend. And I think it deserves some attention. So I've really worked strategically on my framework to be able to say that no matter what, even if it's a trend, even if it's something that's exciting that I want to share, even if it feels like it's something new outside of my brand genre and identity, I have a way of being able to implement that in there. Because one of the ways that I do that is with my framework, and it's called, the SOS Framework here, is a strategic opportunity for success. So we have to be paying attention to trends and things that are going on around us because it's relevant to what's happening inside our businesses. It's relevant to our clients and consumers that are doing business with us. So this SOM strategy that I use, where I bring it into sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education, those 5 areas, no matter what the trend is, no matter what's going on, I can find a place to be able to share that, talk about that, speak about that in one of these 5 categories. So I can kind of bring it into my SOS framework to be able to help you look at it from a different perspective, to be able to help you look at it to see if it's a concern or an opportunity for your business to take some new steps here. And as you know, we've been just like nonstop trying to find ways to be able to keep our business out of just surviving and into thriving. So when I heard that my client had her best July and August ever, and she's been in business for 10 plus years, that was really exciting to hear. And part of what we worked on here, this is the part I do want to share with you today. Part of what we worked on here is when I talk about mindset, that I work in with most of my clients, mindset seems to be the majority of the time spent. And I know that seems like, well, aren't you working with them on tactical strategies? Aren't you working with them on, how to be able to improve their digital brand identity? Yes, yes, and yes. We're working on all of those things too. But there's a mindset capacity where we either resist doing something different, we become resentful of thinking what we're doing is not enough, and then we kind of like target revenge on ourselves of saying, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to have to do that, or I don't want to learn how to do that. And what it does is it ends up backfiring on us. So the area of opportunity, we talked about this last week in the podcast last week, where we talked about the emotional intelligence ladder here, okay? So emotional awareness is one of the most powerful pieces here. And then we move into emotional management, emotional connection, and then into emotional leader. So the foundation being emotional awareness is always making sure that not only are we clear of what's going on outside of us and around us, but we also have to be clear on what's going on within us. Where are we resisting? Where are we building up walls of resentment? Where are we targeting our revenge? Because inevitably our revenge ends up being targeted back at ourselves. Okay, it doesn't help us. So when we become emotionally aware, we manage things better, we connect to things better, and then we become that leader that was really understanding her to trust herself in 2020 that she had. Okay. All right. But today we're going to be talking about speaking. So I want to take that same model, okay, that same framework that we were just talking about in emotional intelligence, and we're going to attach the word brand to it instead, okay? So now we want to be able to look at brand awareness, brand management, brand connection, and being a brand leader. Now, even though this is under the strategy of sales, I want you to think that if we're not selling, we're not growing. If we are not selling, we're not growing. Now, we might be selling a lot, but spending a lot, which means that in fact, we're still not growing. Okay. And that's where sales and operations are in this relationship together, because then we have to be able to look at expenses and overhead and cost of goods, right? But you got to be selling in order to have a thriving business. You have to have a sales process in order to have a thriving business. So we're going to talk about that from a mindset of speaking things into existence. Speaking things verbally, like I'm doing right now on this podcast, but also speaking things through posts, through emails, through blogs, speaking directly with our clients, our teams, speaking within our community. What's that perception that we're at with how others see us? Do they see us as a powerful presence and speaker? And I'm not just talking about presenting or speaking. I'm talking about in who we are, how we're perceived within our environment. And brand awareness, okay, strong brand. This is another area of opportunity that I'm going to share in regards to my client, is that not only was she able to rebuild her business from much heartache in 2020, but because she had a strong brand, she was able to rebuild her business. That was one of the difference. She was passionate about her brand. So for her to step back into it and be really incredibly passionate about bringing this company again to another level, or revising it or updating it, all those things she was willing to do in regards, because she knew she had a strong brand. Okay. And then that allowed her to manage the brand consistency. And then she was able to make brand connections and rebuild her business. And of course, she, in her community, for her to have her best 2 months ever in business means that she is in fact a brand leader. Okay. And we can speak about all of that. So let's look at, I did a little acronym here for speak so that we can talk about the simplicity of speaking here. So the first one is S, and S is for seek. Okay. Because I think a lot of times people think that the content that they have is more valuable than the way that it's being marketed or delivered. Okay, so we want to be able to seek first to be able to explore the width and the depth of what it is that we think is worthy of sharing. Okay, what it is that we're offering, what services we're offering, how we're offering those services. Are those services priced right? Are we adding value above what we're charging for these services? So we want to be able to explore the width, okay, wide. Okay, am I taking care of things across the board? We want to explore depth. Am I taking care of those conversations where objections might show up? And then when we understand exactly what we're doing, exactly how we're presenting ourselves, okay, whether it's our brand, our business, a particular service, marketing a retail product in your salon, then we want to be able to kind of like create a framework around it that allows us to be able to create, deliver, and connect that content to others so that they can comprehend it and that they implement it. Now, I use this philosophy a lot. It's called the staging method, and I'll share more with you on that in the end. I use this philosophy a lot when I'm training educators and speakers to be able to be better at creating, delivering, and connecting with audiences and content, okay? And one of the things that I think gets overlooked a lot of times is we assume people have comprehended what we're trying to sell them. We assume that because we call it a balayage, that they know what that means. And so, you know, if you did a survey with 100 clients and you said, what is balayage? I'd say the majority of them would say, oh, it's highlighting the hair, right? But they may not specifically say it's painting highlights onto the hair. And that's a really distinct difference in order for you to charge more and add more value to it and have a different type of service or a precision service available as a specialty item, which means you can charge more for it. And again, that is called sales, right? That's sales. So not only is it that we want people to comprehend what it is that we're trying to share with them, but we also want them to implement what we're trying to do. So implement could be take action, book an appointment, do a balayage service next time over versus a foil highlight service. Or from an educator standpoint, it could be that if you just trained them on how to do something specific, that they actually have enough knowledge to be able to take it on and be successful with it. They comprehend it and they can implement it in order to have success. And then they can duplicate it in order to have future success, okay? So we want to be able to seek all of the information and create a framework that makes sense to them, not just us. Because a lot of times as educators, we kind of talk in acronyms, we talk over people, we talk from our base of knowledge instead of theirs. All right, P stands for prepare. And one of the greatest lessons of being a good speaker is being a fabulous listener, okay? And I find that listening is a difficult process for a lot of people. And it was for me. I know one of the first times that I realized from my emotional intelligence training and certification that I went through was when I discovered that I was highly driven. One of the areas that was affected by that and impacted by that was my ability to not be a good listener. So I was driven, but I wasn't necessarily collaborating. I wasn't necessarily checking in with people. And that would have required me to have better listening skills. So when I decided to become a coach, one of the skills that I gained was incredible listening skills. Now, it's not like I have it perfected. And as a matter of fact, every single day I'm consciously aware of how to be a better listener. It's something that I have to add. I have to add an investment of me into it. It doesn't come naturally, okay? And yet I've learned and trained myself to be a listener in a way that can be a more impactful coach, a more effective coach, and certainly a better speaker on top of that. Now, the other part of preparation too is, which you've probably heard this before, is begin with the end in mind. So you have to have an end game. You have to have an end game in place that adds value to others, okay? So if you're servicing, whatever those words are that you use in your business, whatever it is that you're offering, you have to make sure that you're offering it with a conclusion, that you're offering it with an intent of, and now you can, and now you will. have success, and now you will be able to make more money, that type of thing. So you have to make sure that your end game has clarity on it, because people don't want just 100 reasons how to do something or ways to do something. People want what the impact is going to be. How is this going to make people's lives better? How is this going to make your hair better? How is this going to make your skin better? How is this product going to, make me look younger? Those are the end game content pieces that you have to make sure that you include when you're preparing your opportunity to speak, sell, or market. Okay. E is for empathy. And empathy is, of course, the foundational one, right? It's right in the middle, and it kind of works both ways, and to the right, to the left, up, down, back, forth, the whole works. Because what you want to look for in empathy is common concerns and trends. You want to build content based on empathy first and expertise second. All right. Empathy first, expertise second. Now, why would you say that? Because it's like, if I want to train somebody on how to do something, I just want to share with them what my expertise is and how I've been successful in doing it. But the truth is you will lack connection if you don't build empathy in it first, and buy-in. This is a way to be able to get buy-in. So if you've been through any kind of a sales training or sales capacity in here, you'll understand that one of the most important things you can do is to create buy-in. If you're a leader of a team of people, buy-in is incredibly important. And how do you get buy-in? You build empathy into your conversations. You build empathy into your presentations. You build empathy into your marketing. Okay. Empathy, then follow it with expertise, because at that point, they trust you. Okay. And your goal is to be able to build trust. Now, if you built trust, then the next one comes right into alignment with that, which is alleviate. And alleviate is getting to the source of their problems and to be the guide to help them to implement solutions. Okay. So you could show them the greatest technique in the world of how to be able to master some skill. But if you're not sharing with them how it solves a problem, and you're not alleviating the problem that it has, and helping them to be able to implement this with solutions, then you're not going to get them to actually put it into action. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're sharing with them how this is alleviating problems they may be having. So, I'll use, again, balayage as an example of that. So if you're teaching them a balayage skill, you have to be able to say, who are the ideal clients for this? Okay. If it's somebody that likes a little bit of outgrowth, if it's somebody that doesn't come every 5 to 6 weeks, then a balayage technique might be good for them, because it's going to alleviate that line of demarcation that after 4 to 6 weeks, they don't like. And yet in 4 to 6 weeks, you have, barely a half inch of regrowth at this point. And it's hard to kind of just highlight those little areas in there. Okay. And then what happens is that they have a tendency to get over blonde or brassy or over colored, and then they don't like it as much. So balayage. So you're sharing with them the ideal type of client that this is best for. And then they can kind of choose in their mind, ooh, this would be really good for my client, Cindy and Mary, and Tiffany. They would love this technique. I'm going to try it on them the next time. So now I've not only created an ideal client persona of this particular, how it's going to solve problems, but now I'm upgrading my services for these clients so that they see me doing something new, something unique, something more on trend, and they're going to continue to be ideal clients for me in the end. Okay. So you want to be able to help them alleviate of suggesting these things. And then of course, the K in speak is key. Because in the end, if you're speaking anything, it means that there's a call to action you're wanting people to do. Now, sometimes we're just kind of creating awareness out there. And awareness is great, and awareness is critical and important, especially if you don't have a strong brand identity. But the key is to be able to source marketable offers that have them be an inspired action and do something with it, like actually be in action with it, versus complicated steps, or maybe no steps at all that they don't put into action or that they get overwhelmed by. Okay. So you have to be able to think about, what do I need to do in the end that is going to have them feel comfortable taking action? What can I do in the end that will keep the steps really simple for them, so that they feel the minute they leave there, they can duplicate what I've just taught them. And remember to always keep it simple. Just keep it really simple. Sometimes what we have a tendency to do is we don't close out things well, and then people don't take further action. And then sometimes we close them out with such complicated ways and approaches that they get overwhelmed by, too much information. They're starting to get confused by the fact that you are not closing the door on it strongly. Okay. So remember that when you are speaking, so whether this is selling, marketing, presenting, any of these things where you're communicating, whether by words or whether by voice, that you're creating this speak method. Okay. So seek, prepare, empathy, alleviate, and then key and unmarketable resources that have them be an inspired action. All right. Now, when you're able to speak your passion, this kind of allows your gifts to kind of come forward, and that creates traction with people, stickiness, and attraction to your biz, where they follow you, they buy other things from you, they refer you out to other people. All right. So that's a sales process to be able to kind of help you see that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to this particular process. Now, if you need help with this, okay, because I get it, you guys, selling is not always comfortable and it's not always easy. All right. So I want to be able to help make this easier for you. Now, again, I said this entire conversation is in my written blog. So you can go to my website, bonniebonadeo.com, click on the blog tab at the top, and it'll take you to my latest blog. So it's called Building Your Beauty Brand Inside and Out. And the topic of this particular blog is called Speak. And it's just everything that I shared so that you can have a template to work from. And then also, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the marketing strategies around this, join me on October 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. Okay. And that is for the staging method of speaking. It's a workshop. Okay. It's a 2-hour workshop. And we're going to actually go through the staging method approach, which is the speak is a part of it and the act method is a part of it. But the staging method is kind of the broader, more well-rounded scope of how to be able to build some marketing posts, marketing templates, marketing emails, how to be able to build presentations, how to be able to deliver presentations in a way that people respond well to, create engagement with, connect and comprehend to. And then, of course, how to be able to close it out strongly with your gifts of being able to share more or have them share you with other people. So join me on October 4th, and you can go to stagingmethod.club. stagingmethod.club to be able to sign up for that. It's one, I know you're going to get a lot out of it here. So you guys, again, these are the ways that I help you. So I have 2 businesses. One kind of funnels into the other business. The main business is my SOS Salon coaching program. Okay. The podcast is one of the tools as a part of it in order for me to be able to share some of the knowledge so that you can say, you know what, I think I want to work with her. And remember, we're all about building brands that survive while developing people that thrive. Now, your brand might need some more and additional support. It might need some, more than just a DIY effort. Okay. It might be that you need some experts and some specialties to be able to do it with you to upgrade your brand. And then you might be at that point in your career where you're like, I just don't want to do this stuff. I want to maybe help the plan and the process, but I don't want to be doing it. Okay. And that would be kind of a do it for you approach to things. And the Brand Me Marketing and Branding Agency is my company where I can provide you those resources to do that. So I help you establish that brand identity. And then if it's a website you need, I send you to my developers. If it's some social media support, I send you to my social media people. You need a virtual assistant? I got a virtual assistant for you. I got some great people in my agency to be able to help create that brand identity that you need. And more people are coming on every day. And I'm very excited about how this is getting built. So, and more to share with you as we progress through the fall, because I'm finally getting some traction on that. And again, it's been just being consistent and repetitious with what I am sharing out there. Okay. Now, I love you guys for listening to me. I love you guys if you're sharing this podcast with other people. Help me grow it. I just had 50 episodes, so we're starting on our next 50 here. And if you want to set up a free session with me to be able to look at a strategy plan that you might be struggling with, okay? You might be struggling with something that you don't have all the answers and you need solutions. I want to help you put that plan together. So if you go to sossaloncoaching.com, there's some free tools on there for you to grab. But there's also a free session that you can set up with me. And this SOS strategy session is we're going to look at one area of opportunity that you're struggling with and you need help with, and we're going to put together a great little action plan to be able to have you go into implementation so that you can start to see some success. And then, of course, I would be honored to be able to share with you how I work with clients and some of the success that my clients have had to see if we're a good fit together based on different elements that I offer. But I'm always appreciative for you guys to hear me out on the SOS Salon podcast and small business podcast. And I look forward to seeing you next week.